All rise. The Centennial Municipal Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Ford Wheatley presiding.
Good morning, please be seated. Call the Hampton case set for trial. I'm sorry, that's your family name is Hampton, is that correct?
I'm not sure. I just know it's on my birth certificate.
Okay. Is that what you prefer to people call you, sir?
Lamar.
Well, that's your given name. I hate to call you by your given name in a formal proceeding. But in any case, this is case M225438, set for trial today. Appearance for the city, please.
Your Honor, Andy Osmus, registration 22267, appearing on behalf of the city of Centennial. With me is Deputy Alexander. We are prepared for trial.
All right. Mr. Hampton, it appears that you were advised of your rights and of the traffic infraction the city of Centennial is alleging against you back on February 22nd. On that date, you entered your not guilty plea. So do you have any questions before we get started with the trial this morning?
No, sir.
All right, proceed, Mr. Osmond.
Your Honor, I call Deputy Alexander to the stand, please.
All right, sir, if you'll please come over near where the bailiff is when you arrive at the witness stand. If you'll raise your right hand, court will administer the oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this trial is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated.
Deputy, please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Tad Alexander, ALEXANDER.
How are you currently employed?
Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, City of Centennial, deputy, or excuse me, patrol deputy.
Were you working as a patrol deputy on January 10th, 2016, approximately 1910 hours?
I was.
And on January 10th, 2016, approximately 1910 hours, did you issue a penalty assessment complaint to the defendant in this matter?
I did.
Is the defendant present in the courtroom today?
He is.
Could you identify him for the record, please?
The defendant sitting there,
Specifically what he's wearing, where he's sitting, so forth.
sitting in the defendant's chair, gray sweatshirt.
Your Honor, subject to cross-examination, like the record reflect, the deputies identified the defendant.
So,
What was the offense you cited the defendant for?
Disregarding stop sign.
Did you personally observe that violation?
I did.
What was the location of that violation?
Approximately 10,100 East Getty's Ave.
And what city, county, and state is that located in?
City of Centennial, Arapahoe County, State of Colorado.
Okay. Approximately what time did that incident happen? Do you recall?
It was 1910 hours.
Okay. What were you doing at that particular location and time?
I was driving eastbound on East Getty's towards South Fulton Street, which is the 10,100 block, right behind the defendant.
All right. And describe what you observed as it pertains to the defendant's driving action.
He was driving eastbound on East Getty's, came to South Fulton Street, which is a four-way stop. Defendant did not stop. He just went through the four-way, went through the intersection without stopping.
Okay. After you observed the violation, what'd you do next?
I conducted a traffic stop.
Did you ever lose sight of the defendant's vehicle between the time you observed the violation and the time you effected the stop?
No, sir.
At the time you effected the stop, who was the driver of the vehicle?
The defendant.
Did the defendant make any statements to you upon contact?
I don't recall.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the area. You indicated that it was a four-way stop. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And were all the signs upright and unobstructed?
Yes.
All right. And you indicated that you were directly behind the defendant's vehicle?
That's correct.
How close in proximity were you?
Coming up to the stop sign, I'd say, have to guesstimate about maybe 30 feet.
Okay.
behind him.
Was there another car between you and the defendant?
No, it
All
was
right.
just him and I.
Did you have a clear and unobstructed view of the defendant as he approached the intersection?
I did.
Did you ever see the defendant's vehicle come to a complete stop at a stop line, the stop sign, or before he entered the intersection?
No.
Deputy, are you certified and trained to use a laser and a radar device?
I am.
And as part of that training and certification, you also have to be able to visually estimate speeds.
That's
Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you be able to give us an estimate of how fast you think the defendant was traveling as he went through the intersection?
Not super, maybe around, I'd say 15 to 20 miles per hour.
Okay.
And that's a 30 mile per hour area. So
Was weather a condition? Did you ever see the defendant attempt to stop but couldn't because of weather?
no.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Hampton, you have an opportunity to cross-examine Deputy Alexander by asking him questions if you wish.
Okay. Have you spoke to my employer to verify that I was actually under payroll at the time of the stop?
Oh, that you were, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Under payroll.
No, I don't talk to employers of, I don't know what the question is.
So you're not sure that I was driving for hire?
I don't remember if you were driving for hire or not.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Any redirect?
Did you see that, was the defendant in some type of delivery or postal truck or anything along those lines?
No, he was in, I believe it was a Ford Explorer, maybe, a maroon one, out of state place.
And was there anything that, at least that you would observe, that would have provided any type of explanation or excuse as to why the defendant drove through the stop sign at 10 or 15 miles an hour?
No, in that area also we get many, that's a kind of a commercial area, a lot of businesses down there. We get a lot of complaints from the business owners of the four-way people not stopping.
Okay.
Four-way stop, so we concentrate in that area quite a bit.
Okay. And Deputy, did you have, I know you indicated there was nothing obstructing your view, but were you performing any other police duties other than
No.
watching the defendant as he approached the intersection? All right.
I was just driving.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Thank you, Deputy.
Your Honor, the city would rest subject to rebuttal testimony.
Mr. Hampton, the city has now rested its case against you, so we've arrived at the point of the trial when the defendant gets to choose whether or not to present any evidence, and if so, what form that evidence should take. For example, Mr. Hampton, you have the constitutional right to testify on your own behalf. If you wish to testify, no one may prevent you from doing so. If you do wish to testify, sir, you would begin by taking an oath, swearing or affirming to tell the court the truth. Then you tell me what you'd like me to know about this traffic infraction the city is attempting to prove against you. As soon as you are done testifying, the prosecutor may then cross-examine you, meaning he may ask you questions. As part of that cross-examination, Mr. Osmus may inquire should you have any prior felony convictions. However, Mr. Hampton, should you have any prior felony convictions, the court could only consider them to the extent they bear upon your credibility as a witness. In other words, they could be used for what we call impeachment purposes only.
Right.
Sir, you also have the constitutional right not to testify. If you choose not to testify, no one may assume that you are guilty of this allegation merely because you are electing not to testify. Sir, the court is not trying to suggest that you should or should not testify, just letting you know that this is a personal decision that you alone must make and letting you know some of the ramifications of your choice. Do you have any questions concerning these rights?
No, sir.
What would you like to do?
I'd actually like to testify.
At this time?
Yes, sir.
All right, please come forward to the witness stand. When you get you'll remain standing, raise your right hand, court will administer the oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this trial is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, please have a seat. If you can begin by stating your name, spelling your last name.
My name, Toussaint, Toussaint, Hampton, Hampton. The day of the stop, it actually.
Okay, and where do you live, Mr. Hampton?
1786, he said you had it. 17186, I'm sorry.
All right, what would you like the court to know?
The day of the stop, it was actually snow out. It was actually ice. The whole street of Geddes was iced. I mean, I attempted to stop, but I could not stop. But I was actually not driving, so I was not acting under statutory law. And I was actually acting as a pleasure traveler. So.
Anything else?
Yes, under Black's Law Dictionary, a traveler can move between free will with no restrictions, no speed limit, and a driver is someone acting under, well, who's acting under a payroll or who's being paid at the time to operate a vehicle, even if they are not the driver. From the passenger side, they can control the person who is driving the car. So I was not driving. He said he did not speak to the employer, which means he does not know if I was a traveler or a driver at the moment. So that's all.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hampton, you may return to the defendant's table. So is there any other evidence that you choose to present, such as witnesses or exhibits, or do you rest your case?
I rest my case, sir.
Any rebuttal evidence?
Just briefly, Your Honor, I'd like to recall the deputy.
All right, Deputy Alexander, I'll remind you, sir, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
Deputy, were there any passengers in Mr. Hampton's car when you stopped him?
No, there were not.
And was he, when you were able to observe him, was he actually the one operating the vehicle?
That's correct.
All right. And the weather conditions on this particular day, did you identify what the conditions were of the roadway?
The roadway was dry.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Hampton, do you have any questions for Deputy Alexander in view of this rebuttal testimony he just provided the court?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So, are you sure I was operating or being a pleasure traveler? You still haven't stated that point.
Objection. I'm going to object to the form of the question, Your Honor.
All right, well, I think it's irrelevant.
Okay,
Ask another question.
that's all.
All right, thank you, Deputy. You can step down.
Your Honor, the city would rest, waive closing.
All right, Mr. Hampton, all the evidence the court is to consider has now been received. This is an opportunity for each side to make what's called a closing argument. A closing argument is a summary of the important evidence and an argument to the court as to what that evidence proves or does not prove. Do you wish to make a closing argument?
No, sir.
All right. Defendant is accused of violating Traffic Code Section 703. Having listened to the evidence, the court believes that subsection 3 is most pertinent. It reads as follows. Except when directed to proceed by a police officer, every driver of a vehicle approaching a stop sign shall stop at a clearly marked stop line, but if none, before entering the crosswalk on the near side of the intersection, or if none, then at the point nearest the intersecting roadway where the driver has a view of approaching traffic on the intersecting roadway before entering it. Court has heard from two witnesses in this case, the deputy who issued the ticket and the defendant who received it. The city's evidence would indicate that on or about 7:10 in the evening of January 10th, 2016, defendant was driving a vehicle eastbound on East Geddes, approaching the intersection South Fulton, 10,100 block in the city of Centennial, Arapahoe County, Colorado. Deputy Alexander indicated that Geddes and South Fulton is a four-way intersection marked by 4 stop signs. Deputy indicated that a vehicle he later determined was driven by the defendant proceeded through the intersection without stopping at a speed that he estimated to be 15 to 20 miles per hour. The defendant chose to testify. Essentially, as the court understands it, is asserting two defenses. One is that it was snowy and icy that day. The deputy disputes that fact. The deputy indicates that it was dry. The court holds that even if it was snowy and icy, the ordinance does not provide an exception under these conditions. In other words, a driver is responsible for controlling his or her vehicle despite the weather conditions to make sure that they can stop for stop signs. As the court understands that the defendant is also raising this issue, I call it a bogus issue that the court has heard numerous times before, implying that if a driver is not employed for a living while driving, in other words, isn't driving a vehicle for work, he can't be charged or convicted of disobeying any traffic laws. There's no support in Colorado for this position. In fact, the law is quite to the contrary. Centennial has adopted the 2003 Model Traffic Code, which contains a definition of driver in section 102 of the Model Traffic Code. It reads as follows: a driver means every person, including a minor driver under the age of 18 years, and a provisional driver under the age of 21 years who drives or is in physical control of a vehicle. It appears undisputed that the defendant was driving a vehicle. Doesn't matter whether it was for work or, as the defendant calls it, pleasure. So the court is convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, excuse me, that the city has proven each and every element of the charge, will enter a finding of guilty. Mr. Hampton, if you'll recall, sir, if we ever reached this stage of the proceedings called the punishment phase, among other things, the court would consider a defendant's driving record. I'm taking a look now at your driving record. It appears excellent. Looks like you've been licensed in Colorado since last September. Sir, is there anything else you want the court to hear and consider before it determines an appropriate fine?
Yes, sir, I still have not admitted to driving, to being in the act of driving, and I would also like an appellate form.
Sir, they have instructions in the clerk's office on how to file an appeal, if that's what you mean.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, does the city wish to be heard any further in sentencing?
No, sir.
All right, the fine will be the good driver amount of $100, $50 court cost, total of $150. Mr. Hampton, you do need to pay this now if you file your appeal, and you must do so within 35 days of today. The fine and cost becomes your appeal bond. If you are successful ultimately in your appeal,
Right.
this will be refunded to you.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, sir, they'll call you to the courtroom in a minute.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Court will be in recess till next case of day.
They calling me back in here.
All right, back on the record, please come up to the podium. Mr. Hampton, I indicated that you had to pay it now. This ticket goes back 3 months and you nodded yes. Why are you giving a problem to this court staff?
I just told him it was no law or nothing in writing said that I had to pay this. I made no agreement.
Yes, sir, you owe it now. If you want to retain your driving privilege, you have to be able to pay your court-ordered fines.
Oh, you can take my driving privilege.
Okay, it's the tickets that are 3 months old, sir. How are you gonna get home?
Travel freely home. No state
All right,
law.
sir, are you paying your fine now?
I'm setting up a payment plan. I don't have the cash
No,
now.
sir, I have to authorize that.
They just told me that I could set up a payment plan.
Sir, I'm the judge. It's up to
Okay.
me. I told you you owed it now. This ticket goes back to January. Every study I read says punishment is not effective if it's stretched out. Are you able to pay this now?
No, I'm not.
How much are you able to pay
I have no
today?
cash.
Are you working?
Yes, I am.
Why did you not provide in case things went against you today?
Why did I not provide what?
Bringing at least partial payment in case you lost.
I was never obligated to do that.
Yes, sir. The ticket says that fines and costs are due when you're convicted. Did you read the back of the
Under
ticket?
duress.
Did you read the back of the ticket?
I read the back of the ticket, yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's what it says, sir.
Okay.
You've now been convicted. So what is your proposal for
My
payments?
proposal is to set up a payment plan.
What is the payment plan you're suggesting?
I'm not sure. I have to see what the offers are and how much I can afford monthly, whatever I can put in until this appeal gets set up.
100% of it due by Monday. And with the stay of execution fee, it's $175. There's a stay of execution fee of $25. So Monday is May 2nd at 11 o'clock. I'll authorize this. They'll have you fill out a financial form to obtain the payment plan, but that is what I've approved. So $175 is due in full on or before May 2nd, 2016 at 11 o'clock.
Do I get to sign off on this agreement?
What do you mean sign off?
It's only an agreement if two parties agrees and
No,
I need
sir,
to
this
sign off.
isn't an agreement. This is my order. If you don't sign off on it, you can leave, and we'll just report to DMV that you have an outstanding fine, and they will take action as authorized by law. Is that what you'd rather do, or do you want till Monday?
DMV
Sir,
can take,
that's a yes or no question.
that's your decision, sir.
What do you wanna do? Do you want till Monday, or are you just totally gonna refuse to pay it?
I'm not refusing and I don't want till Monday. I honestly don't wanna pay, period, if I
Sir,
was
I asked for
allowed.
your proposal and you didn't have one.
I don't have a proposal. You can't make me make a proposal.
Okay, sir, that's your choice. You can just leave without a payment plan, and we'll report to DMV immediately that you are in arrears, that you have an unsatisfied judgment, or you can get till Monday at 11.
I will leave and you can report that to DMV that I have an outstanding judgment.
Okay?
Because I'm trying to set up a payment plan. You wouldn't let that, you wouldn't allow
That
that.
is the payment plan, sir, that's 6 days, not a ticket that's 3 months old.
And how many points is that now?
Well, I don't control the points, you went to trial on a 4-point charge, so it'll be 4
Okay, you can
points.
report it to DMV because I know law, and that's not law. No law goes against federal law, but thank you, sir. Thank you.
You don't want a payment plan till Monday.
Thank you. I'm not answering that question.
All right, you're free to go, Mr. Anthony.
Thank you.